Hey guys, it's Matt. This horrible looking diagram that I sketched up, in addition to whatever your personal thoughts and beliefs are regarding the topic in the last video, what is the consequence of living life in a certain way? Is there a consequence at all? Is this just a learning experience? Your personal beliefs from the last video and an understanding of what's going to be presented here is all you need. All you need. I told AJ, a very, very good friend of the channel, I told AJ that as things get more complicated, we talked about this about 2 years ago, as things get more complicated, the real answer gets simpler and simpler. And I told him, he probably remembers, I said, the ultimate answer will probably fit in a half page of writing. And you know what? I think we're there, a half page. So this outlines the steps one takes from a matrix zombie through an understanding of how reality works. But the point of me presenting this is not to, getting down into level 5, the intelligent esoteric research, reading the endless works of Blavatsky and investigating Crowley. Oh, this must be where it's at. I'm saying absolutely not. This entire thing is a peed on breadcrumb. We live in a reality generation machine that generates a reality or distractions or interests that is suited to the person's level that's pursuing those interests. All of this has in common several things. It all leads you back in circles to the same rabbit hole. So let me go through this. Where you think I'm going with this is not where I'm going. But I have to go through this so you understand the final end result or summary, which our understanding of what's going on in this reality generation machine, I think, can fit now into a half page. This combined with what your personal beliefs are from the last video is all you need. So let me just get through this, right? This will take a little while. I guess since it's going to take a little while, I should present kind of the conclusion. The conclusion, guys, is this is all level 1 stuff. It's all the screen, and the reality is evil genius designed and engineered to keep people at the different levels, all attached and associated with the screen. Only when you step back and go into level 2 and say, what kind of reality could possibly deliver the perfect temptation or the perfect distraction to each type of person and their preference in terms of what they like to investigate or where they are in terms of their progression of understanding, which isn't really an understanding at all. It's because it's just a hamster wheel recycling back onto the same screen. It's just you're popping your head out of a different hole from a different part of the screen. Only when you step back and say, what kind of reality could do this? Then you say, why would a reality be designed to do this? Then you understand a few things about yourself, and then that's it. You got it. You got it. Let's just go through it. All right, and you'll see. I'm titling something like this, let me save you 10 years of truth research. And that's putting it mildly. Most people in their lifetimes here, or whatever this is we call Earth, they'll always be in level 1. So it's not like, let me save you 10 years. They'll never leave this level. People that get out of this level and start progressing, and this is, okay, I don't want to make it seem like level 4 and level 5 is just as, it's equal to level 1 or anything like that. You need to progress through all these levels to come to a final understanding. But if you don't, but see, it will always, these are all graduated animal farms. If you get stuck on a certain farm, then the reality then is just dissatisfied. If you're just reading the endless works of Madame Blavatsky and you're investigating, it's very high level esoteric research, the Lucius Trust and all this stuff, and you just comb through the works of Albert Pike and Morals and Dogma, and you go try to get old versions of Morals and Dogma and just comb through all this stuff and literature. It is, from the reality's perspective, it doesn't care whether you're there or whether you're absolutely full matrix zombie like a liberal. It doesn't care, because you're still looking to the screen to provide you with answers, looking out to provide you with answers, when the answers are inside and we already know what the answers are. The reality's thrilled if you want to play this game, because the reality knows there's a 99% chance you're going to get stuck here, at least before, in the 75 or 65 to 75 to 80 some years that most people have in this thing we call Earth. You're going to get stuck somewhere. You're never going to make it out the other side and come to a personal understanding about yourself. So that's why all this truth is given away by, here's called the Conspiracy Bridge, Alex Jones. And if you can't see this well, or it's on a phone, or you're just listening or driving, again, you don't need to. I'm gonna go through this. Let's just go through this. It's an interesting exercise, and then I will, this is very important, guys. This is the culmination of anybody that's ever called themselves a reality junkie. So I hope you want to put in an extra 20 or 30 minutes to save yourself 10 years. And most people listening to what I just said are like, well, Matt, we wouldn't be here. We're kind of with you anyway. We're coming out the other side anyway. And I agree, but there are some people here at different levels, and the people that just chase the endless breadcrumbs all over YouTube are not going to be at this channel anyway. So anyway, I'll do this a little bit quicker than I expected to do it. Keep it under 10 minutes. So you have from birth through school age, K through 12, you're just simply bred to be, here what it says, full matrix zombie. Full matrix zombie. And, just do as you're told, follow the script of society, get a good college education, get a good job, and it's just a script that they want you following, and they'll hand you your cue cards, and you're not to deviate from this script. Now, the lowest level here, and I mean just pinned at the lowest level, just above Forrest Gump level, intelligence has nothing to do with it, is your typical liberal. Your typical MSNBC watcher. I mean, you can't get any more pinned to so they're just pressed against the zombie wall. They're so far from understanding anything about themselves and anything about how the reality works. So we understand it, as Michael Savage says, and he's a graduated Animal Farm too, but he did put it very nicely. That is simply a mental disorder. They simply see the government evolving into not a regular Jabba the Hutt, a 4 million pound Jabba the Hutt, and then they go vote for more of it. It's simply a mental disorder. Let's move on. These people in the second tier, they get a sense that things aren't quite right. These things, the founding fathers, and guys, we live in a matrix, a false construct of some kind. Nothing presented as it really is. Most things presented, literally some illusory fluid reality. So I'm going to say things like the founding fathers. That doesn't, my thoughts on this, that almost everything presented is some sort of a fiction to fit this script of how this reality says humans should live their lives. So I can't stop every time and tell you my personal beliefs. If you're new here, just know basically I believe in nothing. I believe in myself. In terms of what this screen, what the IMAX screen that surrounds me, what it presents to me in terms of my news or my history, I don't believe none of it. Of course, I can't keep stopping and saying that if you're new here. But these people, Republicans, conservatives, they get a clue something ain't right. $4 trillion government, and I don't see any of that money, and so this is a natural progression, and the system that exists is so corrupting, so deceptive, so against the path of a natural human being that it knows people will eventually start to question it. So it sets up animal farms along the way. And the purpose of these animal farms, they're all graduated animal farms, is so you never truly have an understanding of what you are, or understanding yourself. Worry about yourself, which is, the spelling is WOI. Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. That's what the reality doesn't want. And then there's offshoots here. There's a farm called Libertarian. It's like these Republicans, see, when they get in office, it's the same thing happens. There's no real conservative fiscal policy. And then there's millions of different levels here just to trap you, all by design in an engineered reality. If there was any coming out the other side and winning here, the Libertarian would be more farther ahead or progressed over the conservative, but there's no winning here anyway. It's a sick system, and it wants you to go to turn your attention back on the system and try to fix it, when all this whole reality and the life's about just fixing yourself or coming to an understanding way about yourself. That's what it doesn't want. So then we go into the graduated animal people. Then all this is based on, I'm not getting the full truth, and there must be a whole lot more, and there's something still not right in the world. So that it puts out its graduated animal farms, mostly for, this is why the Republicans and the conservatives have 50 graduated animal farms, where these liberals really don't. They have a few offshoots like a Bill Maher, but see, they're all equally mentally damaged. There's no reason for different levels because they're not getting anywhere near the truth. You have Bill Maher and different forms of entertainment here, but you don't see. This is exactly the reason you have all these different people and you have all this conservative talk radio, because you need different levels of graduated animal farm here to be at the same level of the person listening. So of course, the Rush Limbaugh listener is leaps and bounds above the full Matrix zombie that just will just really can't wait for Wolf Blitzer's Situation Room to come on, or that Aaron Burnett out front. So they're leaps. They know something's not right, and there's too much. There's corruption and there's spending. And it will give you, for the real dumbed-down version of that, it presents Rush Limbaugh. And again, like these minions, he knows there's no such thing as Republican and Democrat, and it's all engineered, and they put in who they want. Rush Limbaugh knows that, but he doesn't understand anything else about how, he wouldn't understand this chart or anything like that, in my opinion. He just understands his little bucket. Then, for those that say we're not following the Constitution, and people that investigate the Founding Fathers and what the Constitution, how it really should be applied to a modern society, then they will present an animal farm of like Mark Levin, who will talk about constitutional conventions and the great one, Mark Levin, constitutional conventions, and he'll tell you about article whatever, and it's just a bunch of BS. Mark Levin doesn't understand how reality works. He has an understanding that the politics probably isn't what it's presented to be, and he's happy making his whatever it is $400,000 or $500,000 a year, talking about the Constitution, relating it to politics of today. And you have Glenn Beck, who was this is Alex Jones light. He's a friendly, jolly old Santa that will eat ice cream on TV during his show, and he'll tell you all about the ... connections of the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, George Soros, all the way George Soros puts money in to inflame the tensions and the racial issues and the marches, and he'll tell you all that truth. But again, it's just as long as you're stuck here with him, you're real far off from level 2 and level 3 and understanding yourself, worrying about yourself. So you're just here. It loves it. It's fine. And you can, for you, but see, we've all progressed through this. When Glenn Beck was on Fox, I thought it was the greatest show of all time. He was telling you about all of these nonprofits funded by George Soros that are doing these dark things. And he'll never go to 7-Eleven. He's going to 7-Eleven to get a bunch of food, but he'll never go to our 7-Eleven, never go there, never give you a bridge to break into to get an instant chutes and ladders to get all the way down here. You have Michael Savage. They all deliver a different type of spin for a different audience. Hannity, he's a dumbed down version like Rush Limbaugh. You have the Lionel Nation. That's more for like the liberals have their. See the arrow that goes up here. See, there are some animal farms for liberals, but see, it's not in the same sense as the conservative animal farm, because it's certain type of liberal that has a bunch of university degrees that they need the same bullshit delivered, but it has to be delivered in a much more a higher intelligence or intelligentsia or a higher IQ presentation. So they'll flock to their Economist magazine, and they'll flock to their Atlantic magazine, and that's similar to what, say, Lionel Nation delivers to the conservatives. He'll use a bunch of big words, and I'm getting conservative truth, but it's just delivered in a little bit more intelligent fashion. Although it seems to be offset by the most obnoxious individual of all time. If you ever listen to this guy, so this is the huge, how many 300 million people in the U.S., for example. There's, I guess 100 million people don't care about any politics or anything like that, but for 100 and some million, they're stuck here, and they'll always be stuck on this farm. And the engineered reality will always deliver whatever people need to be stuck on this side of the conspiracy bridge. Now, once people get across the conspiracy bridge here, of which Charon, the boatman, is Alex Jones, there are lots of ways across the conspiracy bridge. But once you get on this side, okay, of the river Styx here in this reality, you have a chance to get a clue. You have a chance to get. It's still an uphill battle. It's still 95%. You're always going to be stuck on some farm or some endless rabbit hole or endless research. But if you can get across, you can. I'm going to hire the boatman that I hired to get across River Styx was Alex Jones. I listened religiously for 3 years, at least. Probably on and off for 4 or more years. And you'll hear about Jekyll Island. You'll hear about the Fed. You'll hear about all the Grove and all this stuff. There's absolute truth delivered, but I was going to say he won't tell you ultimately where we're going to get when we come out the other side here. They won't even get close to it. But that's assuming Alex Jones even knows himself. And again, these minions, they understand, politics isn't real, whatever. They understand their little bucket or their little fiefdom very well. But this clown has no great understanding of how to, I don't think any of these minions do, because like my friend who advises me on certain things, like Tony would say, it's a different type of incarnation. It's not the same spiritual incarnation that you are. He calls it a sequential incarnation. They understand the fraud of what they do, but they don't understand the full spiritual journey that we're on, because they're not on the same journey. So I pay, I'm going to pay the boatman, Alex Jones, to take me across the conspiracy bridge. There's a lot of ways across the conspiracy bridge, including YouTube videos, endless examination of what happened to the Pentagon or what happened to the side, endless examination of what happened to the missing, what was originally 2.3 trillion, and then it went up to 7 trillion. Like, you could really be missing $7 trillion. Come on. Excuse me. It's all a bunch of BS to keep you rooted into that rabbit hole. And the graduated animal farm. Here's a good mental image. You remember not Groundhog Day, but it was Carl chasing the groundhog or the gopher. He was chasing the gopher in Caddyshack. Imagine these are the like rabbit holes. We'll say gopher holes. The endless gopher holes to chase is our march through truth and conspiracy. It's like putting your hand in the gopher hole, and the gopher, remember the little gopher that danced in Caddyshack? He just chains you. He cuffs you to a big piece of an underground pipe, and you can't get out, man. You're cuffed. That gopher just cuffed you. It wants you. The reality wants you rooted here for the rest of your life, or for as long as you'll be interested in this stuff, and then walk away frustrated. So all of us, of course, have crossed the conspiracy bridge 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago. Some people are relatively new. But then, again, this is engineered reality, guys. All by design. Engineered. Over here, it's cut off. It says breadcrumbs. And at the bottom, it says mistakes on purpose. So for anything here that you're going to investigate, it will on purpose throw its mistakes in on purpose. They didn't just forget and there was a guy on a wire on the ISS. That's on purpose. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? It's on purpose. If somebody told me to watch Slacker. Which I had to turn off. Actually, it was Linkletter trying to do Waking Life, but his first go at it or whatever, he was Slacker of about 20 some years ago. Not worth watching. But then what came up on my cable was Slackers. I thought, oh, this is what I'm supposed to watch, Slackers, which is just some like, I don't know. It's just like a movie for college kids, like Animal House, but a newer movie about these college kids who they don't take any of their exams. They just they steal the tests and all this stuff. So the point of me going down this I should probably wrap this up. These guys were like geniuses in terms of getting through college without having to ever take a test. They stole the exam off the back of a FedEx truck. All their plot was perfect. And it actually made sense. A kid skateboards up, he gets in the back of the FedEx truck, a guy fakes a bike accident, so they distract the FedEx driver, steals the tests off the back. Anyway, guys, the point of all this, if those guys were that good at faking their way through college, just 3 schleps, you think this system, this evil genius system that somehow brought down 7 buildings, you think they're gonna let somebody go flying by an ISS broadcast with a wire, or let a guy reach out and there's nothing there? You really think they're gonna let that out? They're not gonna proof it? Come on, man. You can watch that stuff. You should watch that stuff. It's all funny. It should be the greatest wake-up tool in the world that we should be able to hand our friends and family and say, look, the guy reached out for a banana on the ISS. There was no banana there. It's all fake. It's all CGI. It should be the greatest wake-up tool in the world for us, but it's not. That tells you about the nature of reality as well. But they're not going to get it wrong, guys. All this mistakes on purpose. A slightly singed passport. All breadcrumbs. All mistakes on purpose. Now, most people in the truth community don't realize it's mistakes on purpose, and I'm going to take credit for this, guys. I'm not one to pat myself on the back. I don't know any. I started talking about this probably about 4 years ago. Mistakes on purpose, Bobby moments on purpose, and I believe I was the first one to float that. Anyway, so you get people space, the fake events, the staged events. I'm going to get through this, guys, I promise, and I'm going to wrap this up, get to the more important point. What is the Earth? What is the shape of the Earth? I mean, 7/11 issues, other types of false flags. Then, all of them have the mistakes on purpose. All of them have the breadcrumbs. Then there's a different level of conspiracy levels. The conspiracy history research, the buildings, the cathedrals, the architecture, the World's Fairs, the megaliths, the New Earth's via cavas, and how do you carve a via? Why would somebody carve a via cava through 40 million tons of rock, and how did they do it 400 or 500 years ago? And all the stuff that New Earth looks at. Pyramids, but then this relates to conspiracy history. The Fed, Jekyll Island. What is the role of these families, the ancient families, the Council of whatever, the Titanic? What really happened? The wars. How did they bring Hitler up? How did they work both sides to create these world wars that then they'll profit from? And then the ancient civilizations. There's a little bit more. More intelligent research or esoteric diving into Atlantis, Lemuria, what is Babylon or Mystery Babylon, the Phoenicians, the Anunnaki, the Archons, was the human engineered? Listen to me, guys, all of this graduated Animal Farm. All of this from the reality's perspective, looking at you, investigating this forever, or this forever, or that forever, or that forever. This level, from the reality's perspective, it doesn't care whether you're here or up here waiting for Rachel to come on MSNBC. It doesn't care. It's the same. One is no more, higher ranked, in other words, than the other, as long as you stay here. Okay, as long as you stay here. Matt, you're telling me that once somebody understands what 7/11 was and what happened in 2001, and they understand that a lot of these events there's some guy with a shooting up the place or whatever, that's not real, whatever, that they don't care. They don't. That's the same as somebody watching Bill Maher. Yes, it is. As long as you stay there. Okay, it might care a tiny bit more because if you're here, you have a better chance of getting out the end. If it thinks you're going to stay there and you're going to investigate the shape of the earth for the rest of your life, it doesn't care. Okay, that's fine by it. All of these things, somehow reality is structured where most people, I don't know if they're the same incarnation as we are or not, most people won't be able to see any of this, which is our biggest frustration. But we know that. Okay, we know that. So what? If at this point, that should be no different from, can your, what did I see that Alex, whatever, he free soloed El Capitan, Chris Tucker, El Capitan. He free soloed. I guess that's what it's called, free solo, the movie. It's pretty amazing to watch. Can your father or your brother free solo right now? Can they free solo El Cap? Probably not. So just think if that's no different than can your father or your brother see what you see about the fake events or see what you see about nobody gets into a tuna fish can and goes anywhere. There's no, if you don't expect them to be able to free solo El Cap, do you? Okay, and you don't get upset at them. Dad, you can't free solo El Cap. I'm not going to talk to you anymore, but you don't care. That's just natural. It's natural. We'll just consider it just as natural and normal the way this reality is designed that they're not going to be able to see any of this conspiracy that you see. If you see it like that, you're not going to get all upset at them. It just can't do it. So then you get into how many millions of conspiracy people are all stuck at these different levels here. Then you get into, and I'll wrap this up, and this is a level I never got into. I guess I'm not smart enough to read these books but this is for the real high level intelligent stuff in I call it intelligent esoteric research. I'm going to read all the works of Madame Blavatsky, Crowley, I'm going to become an expert on the Nag Hammadi. I'm going to become an expert on the Emerald Tablets. I'm going to become an expert on the Book of Enoch. I'm going to do 5 years of comparative religions and read the Quran and all this stuff. I'm going to listen to all the lectures of Manly P. Hall and all the Gnostic teachings, and I'm going to be an expert on what this Sophia is to the Demiurge, and there's thousands and thousands of books, and there's Jordan Maxwell, okay, is like the light beer version of this. It's like entering this a little bit with it's like the light version of this. Again, guys, in terms of ultimately where we want to be or where we need to be for ourselves, worry about yourself. It's all the same Animal Farm. It's no different. If you get stuck here, all right, that's what I'm gonna summarize this. The reality itself can be summarized in a half a page. Okay, what does all this have in common? Even things you consider to be the higher levels. All of this has in common several things. It's all level one. Let's do the levels again. Level one is the screen presenting or coming to you from the outside. Through your senses, from whatever is considered outside of yourself, down the street, down the block, through the television, through the movies. It's coming to you from what I call the screen. Step two is saying what kind of, all this conspiracy by itself, you have to say what kind of reality could pull this off. No normal reality could pull all this off. It's absurd. Of course, it's some sort of matrix construct. There's no other explanation. You can't pull all this stuff off decade after decade. Everybody believes in every bit of it, but you see through every bit of it with obvious mistakes on purpose. No, that's ridiculous. The real world could work this way. Come on. Step three, then, what does all this tell us? What does it tell you about yourself? Who's going to these lengths? There's this whole world, and somebody saying, then this whole world is a deception. Well, of course it is. Every bit of it, at every level. Why would they go work so hard to trick you, deceive you, unless you just, what does that tell me about myself? It's not hard to figure out. It's the opposite of what an atheist would say. I'm part of something that always has been, always will be. This is some sort of experience. There's absolutely no fear of death. It's very simple. Why would they go to all this trouble if you were just going to, like an atheist says, just go to the dirt and die? It tells you the immortal nature of yourself. It's just, once you understand that, that's it, man. What else do you need to know? It's look, the Bagger Vance. So that's. Well, let's just continue. Bagger. Let's just do the sidebar on Bagger Vance, and I'll get back to what does all this have in common. Bagger Vance is an incredible movie. It's not about golf. It's about life. It's still a good movie. It really is. It's just about life. The key phrase in Bagger Vance is golf is a game that can only be played, not won. Not won. It can only be played. Everything in Bagger Vance, you just take out golf, you put in life in every single circumstance. Life is a game that can only be played, not won. Now that doesn't mean there can't be, well, Matt, per your last video, then there's no reason to gain lessons or try to improve yourself. No, that's not what this says. It just means it can't be won. And ultimately, the people that find themselves in these different levels here, they're looking to the metrics that the screen and the society itself has established as to who's a winner and who's a loser. I've talked about this a million times. Oh, I have this Nobel Prize, so I'm a winner. I have this second beach home, so I'm a winner. I have this trophy wife, even though I don't like talking to her. I'm a winner. That all the metrics at certain parts of society, whether they be normal parts of society or sick parts of society, like the parties in the Hollywood Hills, if you're looking out to the screen to see if you're a winner of a loser, you're a loser. You're a 3-time loser if you're looking out at the screen. I mean, golf is a game that can only be played, not won. Life is a game that can be played, not won. So what else? All this has in common, it's all the screen. Well, Matt, you have to agree that becoming an expert on every at the Emerald tablets, yeah, maybe, but only if you determine, or it reinforces, these Emerald tablets reinforces your nature in line with your inner knowing or inner tuning fork. Only if you come to conclusions about your nature. And then as you come to conclusions about your nature, then all this stuff can be left behind. Yes, even it's the entire reality is a reality generation machine. You know my thoughts on these. What about the buildings and the architecture? What's the difference? To me, if a dash can change in a Mandela effect, or they can pull off even these bang events, it's impossible to have pulled off all of these the way they've pulled them off. This is a reality breakdown. Reality, therefore, doesn't work how we think it works. And if once you come to that conclusion, just because there's a big ass cathedral, well, how was it built? Maybe there's no explanation. It's just there. It's just part of reality. There's no point in figuring it out. I see it part of the general. I back up to 50,000 feet and look back on a gigantic coordinated distraction that wants you on these farms, that wants you investigating nonsense that has nothing to do with your true nature. If you back up far enough, the Cathedral of Cologne doesn't look any different than a damn Kit Kat dash, or doesn't look any different than some false flag that was pulled off. If you back up far enough, it's like you could say, oh, I'm far enough away now. Well, this whole thing here, this whole reality, I can barely see it because I'm like miles and thousands and millions of miles away, but the whole thing is a deception. Everything that goes through its permeable membrane goes into that thing. It's going to get the real souls and spirits in there to believe in something or believe in part of it. And every time it distracts you to believe in part of it, that's real, then it takes you away from yourself. The other thing, other than, guys, it's all a screen exercise, the other thing that most of these things have in common, or a lot of these things have in common, at least as you move into these, quote, higher levels, is there's always a promise. There's always like, well, if I just go back and read the Book of Enoch one more time, I'm going to find the answer. Or if I just go back in read this, scroll or study the works of Madame Blavatsky one more time. And it's always dangling the carrot that if you put time in here or there, you'll find it. You'll just listen to just one more lecture from Manly P. Hall. See, that doesn't mean they're in on it, guys. I know who Manly P. Hall was or whatever, and forget all that. It doesn't. When he's delivering these lectures, it's somebody's yelling at me. Well, that's a deception. But he might be actually trying to help. That's how the reality works. A lot of the minions, the news anchors are minions. They actually think they're helping people when they're satisfying exactly what the not milk reality wants. So Manly P. Hall, when he was giving his lectures in his older years, maybe actually trying to help, but in my opinion, in most cases, well, I haven't listened to too much where I'm gonna say that. But if you get stuck on these farms, or you get stuck, looking into this, how much research can one do on the Gnostic teachings, and what you need to understand about yourself is literally a half page. Now, I just want to say one thing about Levette has put out. Levette is a good person trying to help, and I will always support Levette, and I really appreciate her astrology and listening to her channel. I'm trying to help. She put out. I don't know, all this esoteric work on these thumb drives and got them out to people. And one of the people that got a thumb drive basically came back to me and said, like, Matt, it's incredible how many books and works are there's like thousands and thousands to dig into, all like this level, high level esoteric research. Like, what is the philosophy of the Rosicrucians? What is Crowley saying about this? And I mean, just high level stuff. And it was presented to me, and the first thing I thought was thousands and thousands of high-level esoteric research books. I was like, this is like a symptom of how the reality operates. How could there be thousands and thousands of this level of information? I mean, to me again, it just goes along with. First thing I thought was, it's a reality generation machine. The reality itself somehow designed this to trap high-level people there. Think, oh, here's one more book from Blavatsky I haven't read. The real answer will be there. It's all an animal farm. It's all how the reality itself works. If you back up far enough and look down at it, one is not more just or preferred or than the other. Now, okay, again, like I said, guys, this is not. If you spend 10 years here, it is better than spending 10 years with Rachel on MSNBC, because you're far closer to understanding the half page that we need to understand. I haven't written the half page up, but it's basically, you go back to the last video. What do you believe you just hear as a learning experience? Let's go back before the last video. Everybody knows this, that we don't struggle anymore with the merits of atheism or what will happen at our death. We all believe, every person here knows that death is probably not the day of my death, probably the day of my life. This experience is not human being; it's human becoming. We're part of something that all that ever was, all that ever will be. No fear of death. Okay, so we got that out of the way. We don't have to keep talking about that. Then you go back to the last video and say, well, what are there consequences if I just want to watch TV all day? Or there's most of us believe here that there's tools here that we really should be using, and we might need those tools to walk out of this experience. Or Tony would say, to convince higher self that we've done enough. We're ready to walk out of this game. We don't need to come back. We don't need to do another incarnation. We don't need to play this role or play that role. Or we're ready to walk out. To tell your higher self that's enough. Okay, I've been there, done that. I don't. I don't need this anymore because I have an understanding. It's just superfluous. Is that the right word? Whatever. So the half page basically is the ultimate. Again, in my half page, I'm not even going to put in there we're an immortal aspect of all that ever was. We know that. That's not even. That doesn't need to be in the half page. The half page is the entire reality is set up as a distraction, a deception, and a manipulation. So you will spend your time and your effort and what you think is important on it, whether it be this part of the conspiracy history, or up here at a graduated animal farm, or reading the Emerald Tablets, or whatever. It doesn't. It's forget, what is it? Baskin Robbins 31 flavors or something. This is 31 million flavors of whatever screen distraction it will morph to get you focusing on it, all outside yourself. So the half page is, every bit of it is a reality. It is a constructed, engineered society to get you to focus out on it. So what does that tell you? Well, it's any second grader. Well, if this is all bullcrap, then focus inside ourselves to come to the conclusion that we don't need this anymore. When the day of our life comes, or the day of our death comes, we don't need this anymore. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. If I could just read one more page of the Emerald Tablets. It's all pointless. But we have a certain understanding of who we are, and then to developing and becoming a better person, making sure that you're helping certain people or helping animals or whatever. That all the screen stuff this can't help you in anything there. There's still things we can do, or we need to do for ourselves here to become a better person, or a better moral person, or not get so upset when your father starts talking about Fox News. And this is all the stuff that I have to work on. I want to just jump on him and say, Dad, I told you a million times that there is no such thing as a left and a right. These are things we need. Just because we know that there's no such thing as a left and a right, or Republican, Democrat, we haven't won that. We're still losers if you do what I do. Get all upset. Dad, I told you. You're still believing in that left-right politics stuff. I get all upset, get all angry. I said, wait, how am I going to convince my higher self or whatever? I'm ready to walk out of here, not come back, not do this again if I'm getting upset at my father because he's talking about what he saw on MSNBC. We have to rise above this stuff. This is where people get into, like, who were these people, these historical, did someone like Jesus have an understanding of this? And I don't want to get into that because that's sensitive with a lot of people. But guys, in terms of all these, books and things to investigate, and the thousands and thousands of esoteric, occult level books that are on Levette's thumb drives and everything, if you think the Bible's the one thing and out of all this that escaped an entire reality that's constructed to be a deception, I'll just say we disagree. That doesn't mean you can't have if you have a personal relationship with your Creator, or what you believe is God, a person, that nobody can touch that. You don't need $1 billion infrastructure for that. But if you believe the Bible's the one thing in this whole reality that escaped, although it's been in the hands of kings and all emperor and Roman emperors, and that's the one thing that escaped corruption, then I guess I'll just politely say we disagree. Everything outside yourself, that's like a physical thing. Everything that's around us is some sort of farm or deception, so we don't turn inward. Watch Bagger Vance. I mean, these are the ultimate truth drops in these movies and things that come through songs, is this level stuff that you can use to actually have an understanding about yourself. The end of Bagger Vance is an incredible, valuable truth. Matt Damon went through, was it Howdy had talked about, Howdy McCoskey had talked about how, I talked about Bagger Vance, saying this is a metaphor for life, but I didn't realize what Howdy said, how it's it's simply like a version of the Bhagavad Gita with Captain Juna is Arjuna. But at the end, Bagger Vance is his mentor, and he helps him, and he has World War I flashbacks, and he's becoming a better person and becoming a better golfer. At the end, he just walks off. It's like the most critical part of the match against Bobby Jones and these other famous golfers like Walter Hagen. And it's getting dark, and he could win just 2 more holes if he has 2 birdies or something. And Bagger Vance's like, I'm out of here. And he's like, I need you. It's like, no, you don't. See, this is life. He says, you're there. Bagger Vance. Matt Damon isn't sure. He says, I need you. And Bagger Vance, Will Smith says, no, you don't. I'm out. You're there. You don't need me. Hardy, take this man home. So That's it. I mean, we're there. We're just, we Bagger Vance he's left us. We don't need him. We don't need any Truth Channel. We don't need to. Look, guys, I'm with Rob. I'm establishing, or Rob is establishing a platform that if when I get shut down, which is going to happen eventually because we understand the censorship, I'm going to be on freevoice.io. And Rob might even find one or two or three other people to do that. But I'm just saying, we will always, that doesn't mean, well, Matt, if this is it, then what do we need any truth? Hey, I hope you stick with me. I mean, I hope this is what I do. But I'm always going to examine the screen. I'm always going to be a reality junkie. I'm always going to be fascinated by, what happened at Debbie Does Dallas Plaza. But I'm always going to tie in the step 2 and the step 3. And is there anything more important in life than the things that are being discussed here? And constantly looking at the fake reality and immediately tying in step 2, what kind of reality could pull that off? No normal reality. And then to step 3, what does that tell you about yourself? And if once you understand that about yourself, hey, the lesson's so important, and it is fascinating. To me, I'll always be a reality junkie. It is fascinating to see how the lengths that the reality goes to get you distracted. And you're never going to be safe. I mean, the person that has kicked the habit of being an addict of drugs or alcoholism, at any point they could revert back. I mean, the reality is always going to throw things at you to chase. So, at some point, I mean, we need to leave the censorship platform and do freevoice.io. And I hope, if this has been useful to you and I've saved you a decade, well, I hope you stick with me, maybe just for that. But I'll always examine the screen because I'll always be fascinated by its presentation. But I'll always tie it to step 2 and step 3, which is what most of the truth community, like 95%, has. Not only they don't do it, they never do it and they never will. And that's all that's important. And I'm going to work up that half page, all of reality in a half page. As it gets more complicated, it gets more simple. Thanks for listening, guys.